Hi everyone, welcome to the Model Gaming Show. I'm your host, GW Fawkes, and let's dig right into tonight's stories here. First, I've been out a couple weeks. Sorry I missed a week. Work got real busy and had a wedding to go to, so it was a slow news week anyways. Not much to miss, but some significant things did happen. First, let's start off with a little bit of game reviews. Last week, Sonic Forces and Need for Speed Payback came out. Two mediocre review scores on OpenCritic. You've got Sonic Forces coming in around a 60, and on and Need for Speed Payback not much better, 62. This week's big release, already brewing lots of controversy, which we'll get to in a little bit, is Star Wars Battlefront 2, which is sitting at a 72. So not terrible, not great or good, just a solid 7 right there. Which for a sequel, like probably one of the most highly anticipated games of the year, is pretty disappointing. And I think a lot of that has to do with the microtransactions. Again, we'll get into that in a second. So the first thing I want to talk about is, I touched on a little last time, was the Xbox One X reviews. Most people have their scores in, have their impressions in, and it lives up to its promise. It's a beefy machine, and it definitely brings the goods on the hardware. It's supposedly whisper quiet. It's just a great piece of tech. The main problem or concern that everyone has is that who's it really for and what's it for? Yeah, you get high-res textures, 4K textures that take up a crap load of space on your hard drive. But who's this really marketing for? Apparently it's selling very well, so the marketing team, good job. I'm actually interested in one, but I have a fairly high-end gaming PC, and with the way Microsoft's going, and there's so much less incentive for me to play it. But for $500, I think they're at kind of a sweet spot, and you can kind of, I know PC enthusiasts will say it's not a PC. It's not, but for a console, it's gonna look excellent in your living room, like playing 4K games and all that. So it's a happy medium. $500 is pretty good for what it's offering. It's actually really good for what it's offering. So who's it for? I don't know. It's not for me. It's for the enthusiast, right? So who's willing to drop $560 to play a game that you could, if you already have a PC or even an Xbox One or a PS4 Pro, for cheaper, right? Next bit of news is WB. All right, WB. Gosh, Animaniac. Sorry, tangent. Just having some fun with this one. Portkey Games is their new studio that they're creating solely to make Harry Potter games, mobile and for consoles. I think this is pretty cool. This is a franchise that I know WB is scrambling to continue to make money off of, with the Fantastic Beasts movie series, and I'm truly surprised it's taken them this long, especially since the fervor of the books and the movies are done, to take making games seriously. Yeah, they had some games on there throughout the years, but nothing serious. I mean, hell, you could make some really excellent console Harry Potter games, witches and wands, and just the applications that you can use. I mean, you can make some pretty damn cool VR games, and I'm very excited for that, actually. I'm a big Harry Potter fan, both of the films and the books. I like them equally. I'm not one of those book snobs or film snobs. I can take them on their own merits, and I enjoy them both. And I really think this is a great idea by Warner Brothers, especially if they make Fantastic Beasts games and tie them in as well. I think that would be a smart idea. So the first big topic I want to get into tonight is the Game Awards, brought to you by Jeff Keighley. I really admire and look up to Jeff Keighley. I think he's a pioneer in like the video games journalist and critic in the industry, and I think what he's doing with the Game Awards is great. But I do have just one tiny bone to pick with one of the Game of the Year nominees, and I think it's a game that a lot of people are going to have problems with. because I think it was chosen for its cultural impact instead of it actually being a finished game, and that is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I believe it's releasing on the Xbox in December, so yes, a final version will be completed, but as far as I can tell, this is still an early access game on Steam. It is not a version 1.0. It is still in testing phases. It is still not a completed game. So it's odd and confusing to have a game release that isn't completed and be nominated for end of the year. I wholly believe, or firmly believe, that this game was chosen on there because of the zeitgeist. Because it is the biggest game out right now. They've sold a ton of copies, and it is a very unique experience. And for all intents and purposes, it is a very fun game. I haven't played it yet. Multiplayer is not really my thing, although my friend and I are looking to get into playing it soon when I actually have some time, hopefully come January. I know that's a while off, and that's I'm trying not to overpromise and underdeliver, but I am trying to do a stream with my buddy and have us play multiplayer games. So with that being said, I don't feel really comfortable calling it a game of the year since it's not a final product. It might be, in some people's estimation, the best game of the year, right? But you can't really bulk it in with that. I want to say, quote Marcus Beer, annoyed gamer, angry gamer, and saying, so can I vote for a game that doesn't come out until next April? Can I vote for something that isn't even released in this year yet? What's the point of that? And while he's taking it to an extreme on purpose, I think he makes kind of a valid point in it's early access. It's not a final product. And frankly, in my opinion, it should not be up for discussion for a game of the year, especially when you're talking about the other nominees: Super Mario Odyssey, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Horizon Zero Dawn, and I apologize, I'm forgetting the final one. But these are huge games this year. By all accounts, The Legend of Zelda and Super Mario Odyssey are some of the best games of this generation, and it's just a little odd, little crazy for them to put a game that's not finished, and especially in the breadth of those other games, which for me, Super Mario Odyssey is going to be hard to beat this year. And I really like Zelda. Zelda's actually my favorite franchise, but the sense of joy that you get for Super Mario Odyssey is just something that even me, as a 30-odd-year-old person playing, I mean, I'm grinning like an idiot when I play that game. So it might be my favorite Mario game and one of my top 5 games of all time at this point, and I've only played it for like a week and a half. So for you to put that, I think it's just a little audacious to put it in with those kinds of games. So the next topic, and of course I feel like beating a dead horse here, but it's important and I think it needs to be discussed. 2 things that EA has done. So first we'll get into the Star Wars Battlefront. EA released the numbers on their heroes, and you have to purchase the heroes with the in-game currency in order to get them. Okay, great. Cool, that's fine. How long is it going to take you to build up the credits? People crunch the numbers from the beta and everything like that, and Darth Vader, which doesn't come with it, costs, at the time, I know there's been updates, I'll get into that, 60,000 credits, right? So they did some math and they said it would take you about 40 hours just to unlock him, and then it would take you an additional 20 to 25 hours to beef him all the way up, right? So that's 75 hours for one character. Just one, okay? So there was major backlash over this because at the time, the single-player game only got you 20,000. So you know everyone's going to be going towards this Darth Vader, right? Or towards Luke Skywalker, who I think was 40,000. So there was, EA had a discussion trying to defend it, and it became the most disliked comment on Reddit. The last time I checked, I'm sure it's more now. It was like at 630,000 and counting dislikes. That's incredible. Okay, I realize that probably 10 million plus will buy that game, but if almost 1 million people, which I'm sure it's close to now, 1 million people, think about that, are calling you out on your BS. That's significant. That's not something to just scoff at. 1 million is a sizable amount. Clearly, Star Wars is going to make money, and it's just a license to print money. But with how the last game was received, lack of single player, and the overall kind of crappiness they did with that game, and the lack of content, to release a sequel 2 years later to frankly middling reviews. 72 isn't great. It's a little inflated on Metacritic. I think it's at like a 78 because of the weighting they do. But to be at about a 72, to hear that the single player campaign runs only 3 to 4 hours and is bad, it isn't great. That the actor playing it is fun and energetic, but it's just the missions themselves are just bad. And the now super intruding microtransactions, it's just super, for me, it's super disappointing. And again, I would buy this game for the campaign and the like side missions and all this stuff, because I love Star Wars. I mean, it's a big part of my childhood and a big part of who I am, and I haven't even played the last one yet because there was no story. There was nothing really for me to do in that game that I wanted. And so for this to come out and have these huge barriers to entry and getting the heroes, hell, even the single player campaign main character cost 20,000. So basically you beat the game and you could unlock them immediately in the multiplayer. Why aren't they just given, right? So EA came out after the huge backlash and they dropped it down to 15,000, right? Okay, much better. So now it'll only take you 15 hours to get it, right? Excuse me, my math was way off on that. 10 hours to get that, right? So 10 hours plus another, 12 and a half to get it. So 22 hours to get Darth Vader and bump them all up. Okay, so maybe that's not that bad. But now they also lowered the amount of credits you get for the for completing the main game. So they've just scaled it down. They just scaled it down by a quarter. I mean, that's insanity. That's stupid. It's still going to be the same amount of time, right? Yeah, if you play multiplayer, you'll be able to get more stuff. But the lack of insight on this, and the fact that companies like companies like Blizzard had a statement yesterday, saying like, we've thought long and hard about how we wanted to release StarCraft 2 as free-to-play mod. They are directly calling out EA. They're just not saying EA. This is basically a free-to-play game that you have to pay $65 for, and that's where all the hubbub is. Also, there are skill-based acquisitions, right? So it's like you can pay more money to simply get better perks. A lot of the perks in the beginning are not they affect gameplay, in that you could spend $100 on this game and be better out the gate, because the perks are simply you do more damage or you take less damage, or those kind of things that affect gameplay. And that's where this is getting out of control. It's pretty shocking. I don't really want to say anything further. I think enough's been said, but it's super disappointing for EA to, can Visceral and say they want to be more focused, and then come out and pull this kind of crap on their marquee game, one of the biggest games of the year, when they don't need to. They don't need to be this greedy, okay? Make it 10,000. I mean, they just don't need to be this greedy. That's it. Moving on to more EA concerns. One of the best games I've played in the last year was Titanfall 2, released by Respawn, the ex-Infinity Ward guys. And although the first one, I played through the first one and enjoyed it. It was okay. Just played a little multiplayer and nothing special. It was good, but the community died off real quick because it wasn't the next big thing. But Titanfall 2, man, I didn't play that much multiplayer, but the single player game was excellent. It was an excellent 8-hour rush. Great variety, really fun battle mechanics. It was just a good game, right? So EA just purchased Respawn for $400 million. And I threw a tweet out saying like an over-under on how long it is until they close. They close Respawn, and I put 3.5 years. That's a football field goal, right? For betting. That's the over-under, 3.5. And sadly, with the way Visceral was their own damn studio. So how long does Titanfall have or Respawn have to mess up? A game, 2 games before it's just dissolved and goes elsewhere. I mean, and the thing that's scary is that Titanfall 3 is going to have a ton of microtransactions, and it's going to have the same crap that's in Battlefield right now, and it's going to be 2 more years down the line, and we're going to be having the same talks because EA is really damn greedy, and that's a scary thing. It's very disappointing where games are headed, and now I mostly play story-driven single-player games, and I liked Mass Effect Andromeda, right? That was released by EA. And I liked Dragon Age Inquisition, but they just felt like MMOs that were not MMOs, that they were just single player, and you could feel like kind of it being more of a shell of a game with like random generic crap packed in. When instead, like Mass Effect 2 and 3 were it was less is more, quality over quantity, where those games just felt like, yeah, let's just make it an MMO, it's easy. Little rant over. I know I've been harping on EA a lot, but frankly, they keep messing up and they keep proving to be extremely greedy. So let me know what you think in the comments, and thank you for tuning in. I know I was gone a week. I'm going to try and be really consistent, but with the holidays coming up, I'll try and do a Thanksgiving special for what I'm thankful for on Thanksgiving or the day after. And the holidays get a little messy for me. I'm going to be out for a couple weeks. Don't know if I'll be able to do a proper show, but I will be checking in. I'll be traveling at the end of the year. But hopefully, if everything comes to fruition and I get everything settled, the beginning of next year will be a lot more consistent and more professionally done, and we'll get it started then. So thank you for watching the Model Gaming Show. Again, I'm your host, GW Fawkes. Catch me here playing full playthroughs, twitch.tv/Model Gaming Show, and you can catch me on Instagram and Twitter at GWFawkes. Thank you for watching, and check me in about a couple hours. I'm going to be continuing my full playthrough of Hollow Knight. Thanks.